through the dreadful darkness, we shall leave the light and lead a path to wisdom. Our will to be our lives. To those in pain and suffering, we shall hear a call. With us to care and comfort from Master above all. To face a brighter future, bound in unity. The Philippine College of Physicians, we shall be. Hand in hand, building a stronger nation.
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. So I'd like to welcome each and everyone to another edition of our Health Forum brought to you by the Philippine College of Physicians. This is, of course, this is spearheaded by our region champion on the Committee on Advocacy, Dr. Nemencio Nicodemus, and ably chaired, of course, by our beloved Dr. Agnes Torrijos Cruz, the chair of the Committee on Advocacy. I think she's here in Zoom right now. Good morning, Dr. Agnes.
Good morning, Jude, and thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. And of course, so this activity will not push through without the support, partnership of our colleagues from the Philippine Psychiatric Association, headed by the president, Dr. Luz Biminda Escatibak, and of course, Dr. Bong Benaventura, a member of the Committee on Advocacy, Legislation, and Multimedia of the Philippine Psychiatric Association. So mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, we feel, and we act. It also helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. Mental health is important at every stage of life, from childhood and adolescence through adulthood. And we are very lucky to have with us this morning an expert, in the topic about mental health. She finished her medical degree at the University of the East Ramon Magsaysay Memorial Medical Center and had her residency wherein she was the chief resident in psychiatry at the UPPGH, and further subspecialized and took her fellowship in consultation liaison psychiatry at the Tan Tock Seng Hospital in Singapore. She's currently a faculty member at the Ateneo School of Medicine and Public Health and Health Sciences Program, a fellow of the Philippine Psychiatric Association, and a member of the Committee on Advocacy, Legislation, and Multimedia of the Philippine Psychiatric Association. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce to you or to call on the virtual platform Dr. Joanne May Perez Rifarial.
No update. Oh. Ano to? Not now.
Dr.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Opo, yan talaga, Doc, no? The challenges of the new normal.
Yes, so, lalo na pag live.
Mga technical
Lalo pag
difficulties.
live.
But ganyan po talaga. And good morning po to everyone. And on behalf of the Philippine Psychiatric Association, our president now, Doc, is already Dr. Antonio Sison.
Ay, sorry
And
po. Dr.
our-
Antonio Sison, my apologies.
And our president-elect is Dr. Bong Buenaventura.
Okay.
So maraming salamat po on behalf of the Philippine Psychiatric Association. Of course, si Dr. Luz Katigbak is our immediate past president.
Yes.
Yes, of
Sorry for that, Dr.
Oh, no worries po. No worries. Bago lang, Doc. Last, lang po, January.
Thank you very much for...
lang po. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jude. And it's really good to see you. And of course, Dr. Agnes, Doc, good to see you again. So, thank you very much po. I would like to share my screen now.
Okay.
Thank you po. Ayan. Kitang-kita na po ba, Doc Jude?
Yes po, Doktora.
Yes. So, thank you very much. Our topic for this morning it's about mental health. And I believe, Doc, we are now being heard in through Facebook Live po. So, maraming salamat po. Good morning to everyone. Our title is No Health Without Mental Health. So, let's see later on if this is true na walang health kung hindi kasali ang kalusugang pangkaisipan. So thank you once again for this, for the invitation po on behalf of the Philippine Psychiatric Association. So, good morning po sa lahat. Yes. Please, the next 30 minutes or so, mabilis lang po ito. Let's focus na muna on how blessed we are. Truly, it's another day. It's sunny. It's hot outside. And stop na po muna focusing on our stress. And focus on how blessed we are to be with everyone, with our colleagues, and with our fellow Filipinos po who are watching through Facebook Live. Good morning po sa lahat, Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. And this will be the topic outline for today's discussion. First, we will discuss the concept of mental health. What is mental health? Then we will learn about the current the effects of the current pandemic and this quote-unquote new normal on our mental health. In fact, we've seen na kanina, no? Technical difficulties. That's a thing also during this new normal now with the use of technology or online platforms for video conferencing. And lastly, what can we do? Let's identify healthy coping strategies to maintain a positive mindset during this time of pandemic. So, kamusta po kayong lahat? Do you feel like this? Para po bang we are multitasking, we are so busy? Of course, yung mga nanay, no? Like early in the morning, you have to prepare for your kids' online classes, module, distance learning. Sometimes, kung saan tayo nakaupo, doon na rin tayo. Natutulog. Focus na po muna tayo ngayon on listening to this talk. And pwede din po, no? Kasi 10 o'clock, sometimes siguro it's nakakaantok na. Have your coffee po with you. Ako din po, I was telling Dr. Jude earlier na I was also having my coffee here in the background. Meaning, sit back, relax, and just have fun po while listening to this talk. And let's maintain an open mind, an open heart while listening to this talk. So, mental health. Have you heard of this line from the World Health Organization, which states that there is no health without mental health? Naniniwala po ba kayo nito? They defined health as a state of kumpleto siya dapat, physical, mental, that's the mental health component, social, pakikipagkapwa-tao, well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. And this definition, in fact, dates back from 1948. So, ang tagal na, no? And it hasn't changed until today, meaning it's really an essential component of overall health and well-being. Now, from the general definition of health, let's zoom in sa mental health. All right. When we say mental health, kalusugang pangkaisipan, take this time also now to reflect. Meron kaya tayo nito? Are we in a good state of psychological and emotional or mental state ngayon? There are 4 elements when we say mental health. Number 1, we realize our ability. Alam natin kung ano ating mga skills, talents, abilities, what we are capable of doing. Number 2, we are Can we cope with the normal stressors of life? Kaya ba natin to handle stress? Number 3, are we able to work productively, fruitfully? Nagagampanan ba natin ang ating mga tungkulin, ang ating mga roles and tasks? Number 4, are we able to make a contribution to our community in our roles, be it as parents, as students, professionals? So, ganun po. Now, these are the elements of mental health. I would like to emphasize lang po, very importantly, 2 words in this definition. What do you think are the 2 words that I need to emphasize here? Para kahit na makalimutan nyo yung 4 elements of mental health, at least we can remember this. Very importantly, number 1, stress. O diba? Meaning, stress is a normal part of life. In fact, it's stated there in the definition of mental health. We may encounter stressors anytime, anywhere, with anyone. What's important is the second word. What is the second word? The second word is cope, meaning, okay lang na ma-stress. What's important is that we know how to handle or cope with our stressors well. We know what to do para the stress doesn't get prolonged or it doesn't become persistent. Sometimes kasi, if we are not aware of it, no? Pag sometimes hindi natin napapansin, para na tayong hinihila at numinipis na tayo. We are become stretched too thinly na parang malapit na tayong maputol sa gitna, no? Because of siguro pressure from the home, finances, work, friends, loved ones, health. So, pwede kasing maraming factors which can cause stress. So, again, sana wag umabot po sa gano'n na it breaks. Na? I would like to emphasize again because a bit, konti, a bit of stress is also good. Kasi nga, stress can happen anytime, anywhere. Take note of this graph, this bell-shaped curve. O, di ba? Ay, naalala ko pa yung aking math, no? Bell-shaped curve. There is such a term as productive, positive form of stress. Ito yung type of stress which will push us to wake up in the morning. Bangon na, it's a brand new day. Let's cook our breakfast for our kids. Prepare na tayo for work. Prepare na natin mga anak. Paliguan na sila, etc. Mga ganon. That is a productive form of stress. It will push us to be better, to do our tasks for the day. Take note, pag minsan kasi, umaabot na tayo doon sa state of prolonged stress. So it becomes persistent to the point sometimes that if it doesn't become, if we are not able to handle it well, or if we are not able to address para siyang we loosely translate it to that feeling of low bat. Nalo-low bat po tayo. In fact, no, they say kasi burnout by the formal, from the formal definition of burnout, it's it's related to chronic stress because of job, no, from job-related stressors. So it's work-related stress. It's a chronic condition, pangmatagalan because of, again, job-related stress. But take note that the World Health Organization recognizes burnout as a real condition. Totoo. Meaning, hindi po siya arte-arte lamang. Sometimes we feel low bat, no energy, hirap bumangon. Parang nauupos na tayo, na kandila. Sometimes we feel that. Siguro at the start of the year, January, 100% pa tayo. By March, parang 75% na lang. Di ba? By May, mga 50%. Meaning po, please again take note that it's a real concern, it's a real condition, and it's not just arte-arte lamang. And some of the warning signs or how burnout may manifest, para lang we can identify, na it may manifest through all of our body. It can manifest in a lot of ways, like it covers our cognitive functions or processes, cognitive brain, no? Sometimes do you feel that parang sa sobrang stress, prolonged stress, hirap na tayo to focus, concentrate, attention span is poor, we make not so good judgments or decisions, so cognitive processes. Another is our emotions. We can feel irritable because of too much stress. Parang lagi tayong galit, laging masungit, or lack of motivation. Parang we've lost that feeling of good mood, na yung wala nang motivation to do our best in our tasks, in our jobs, or physically. It can also manifest as weight gain from stress eating or lack of tulog. Pwedeng there's some problem with eating patterns and sleep patterns. So, or for some naman, I wasn't able to include it here, substance use can also be a red flag, no, for the possibility of having prolonged stress or burnout. But take note that there are other risks from prolonged stress. What are these other risks from prolonged stress? Aside from burnout, that feeling of low battery, pwede also, it can lead to symptoms of anxiety. In layman, anxiety is pangamba, takot, worry. Pag minsan ba, ang dami natin worry to the point na hirap na tayong matulog sa gabi because we constantly worry, overthink, ang daming iniisip. Or it can also lead to symptoms of depression, bagsak ang mood, lack of energy, motivation, problems with focus, concentration, and feelings of hopelessness, that everything is bleak, the future is so dark, and to the point na sometimes one may entertain negative thoughts already. So take note lang, kasi nga these are the risks from prolonged stress, and if stress is not handled well or managed well. So that is pre-pandemic, meaning meron na talagang stress even before the pandemic. Now, how long are we na ba into this current pandemic? It's a year and 10 months. 1 year and 10 months na po into this current pandemic. And let's look at the effects of this current pandemic and the quote-unquote new normal. What are the effects of these on our kalusugang pangkaisipan? This pandemic, in fact, during this pandemic, lahat tayo, kaya I emphasize it there, all of us, walang pinipili. Gender, age, as mentioned by Dr. Jude kanina, the young, the elderly, adults, whatever our status is in life, lahat or roles in life, all of us are dealing with a lot of uncertainties now. Uncertainty, meaning it's talagang everything is up in the air. We are not able to predict when this pandemic will end, how this pandemic will end, and there's a lot of changes ngayon. There are a lot of changes now as to the way we live our lives. Like ngayon, it's bawal to go out without face masks. We maintain physical distancing, no big gatherings, parties, etc. And several studies have been done to look into ano nga ba ang implication or impact ng pandemyang ito sa ating kalusugang pangkaisipan. This is an internationally published study among the general population. So general, meaning walang pinipili itong profession, age, gender, general population, lahat tayo. This is international, an international study. They found out that this pandemic may be associated with symptoms of, ayan na naman, nabanggit na naman po sila, anxiety, pangamba, takot, worry, depression, distress, which is stress, but in a more severe manner or prolonged manner, trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder, that's trauma. Especially for those who have gone through the infection, it can be traumatic, or secondary trauma when we have family members, when we have friends who have gone through the trauma, the infection, and then we learn about it, and we also feel the things that they also go through or went through during the time of isolation. So it can also pose as a secondary traumatic stress to us. Now, this is international. Meron ginawa in the Philippines by the group of Dr. Michael T. from PGH. Kasama doon may former consultant from PGH, Dr. Anlacan. So this was published online in 2020. They looked into the psychological impact of COVID-19 pandemic in the Philippines and look at the results. It somehow reflects No, yung results, yeah, somehow reflects also the results which I presented earlier from an international study. And medyo mataas ha, from this study done among Filipinos, 16.3% had psychological impact. 28, almost 30% had symptoms of anxiety. Almost 17% had depressive symptoms, and 13.4 had stress symptoms. But what's more important here is yung level of severity. They were marked as moderate to severe. So hindi lang po siya mild. It's moderate to severe, and the numbers are alarming. So they looked into the profile. Sino-sino po kaya ito? What were the factors identified affecting psychological impact of COVID? Females are more at risk. Youth, our students, for example, our kids who belong to the population of the teens, adolescents, the young adults, single, students, mga estudyante po. No? Of course, they had that transition kasi no, to distance learning, online classes, and those with specific symptoms na prior. Quarantine. As mentioned earlier, quarantine talaga. No? It can bring that sense of isolation, loneliness, prolonged homestay. Matagal no, na tayo sa bahay, quarantine because of quarantine protocols, and it may lead to cabin fever, which is a phenomenon which was identified during this time of pandemic. So a lot, no? So and the concerns really were about fear about their health, worry about family members, discrimination kasi there's still stigma. We've heard of mga healthcare workers, di ba, who were pinaalis sila from their places when they learned that they were exposed to mga patients with COVID, mga ganun. So let's look at the numbers as presented. Again, female gender and the youth. So those belonging to the 12 to 21 year age group. So teens until young adults, 21. And again, moderate to severe levels of stress, anxiety, and depression. So let's take a look at ito kasi the pandemic side to, no? As we slowly transition to the new normal, do you think that the stress is still there? May stress pa kaya in the new normal? Yes, from studies, during this time of new normal, it's more than work from home, virtual kapihan, virtual kamustahan, physical distancing. In fact, during this time of new normal, it's a constant state of anxiety because of the uncertainty. Hanggang ngayon, di ba? Uncertain pa rin. We are not sure as to kailan ba talaga ito matatapos or when, how, what will happen in the next few months. Stress is always there. Kaya, what I'm trying to say here is that the stress, in fact, hindi lang siya yung immediately resolved kaagad. It has been prolonged. So it has been going on for more than a year already. Kaya it can really have an impact on our mental health. Kasi it's not just yung mabilisan lang na after an exam, tapos na. This kasi it has been prolonged and persistently going on for more than a year. And do you know that aside from the work from home, distance learning, meron pang 5 new phenomena which may also add to the stress levels of everyone. One, the first new phenomenon is this. What do you think is this? Ano kaya ito na pwede din siyang magdulot ng stress? Have you been in a situation like this and it's back to back to the point na umaabot sometimes ng 11 p.m. meetings or the weekend? This is labeled or termed as Zoom fatigue or fatigue. Exhaustion, di ba? Parang low-bat ulit, no? Fatigue, exhaustion, tiredness. And it's not limited to Zoom, ha? It would include all virtual platforms of video conferencing. Kasi nga, back to back, and we are all there, no? Nakatutok sa ating mga gadgets, sa ating mga screens, not just those working from home, also our students. And it can cause fatigue. Na-feel nyo ba yun? After back to back meetings, parang we don't want to do anything else kundi matulog na lang. Kahit wag nang kumain, tulog na lang natin kasi pagod na ang eyes and it may cause digital eye strain as well. So that's first. Another phenomenon now during this time of new normal, which may potentially add to the anxiety, stress levels po natin is information epidemic or infodemic. Grabe, no? Ngayon kasi, when we open our mga gadgets to check on our social media platforms, there are those barrage of info now which may contain fake news, disinformation, misinformation, to the point that studies have been done to look into mental health concerns vis-a-vis social media exposure during this time of pandemic. And take a look at this. O, sa mga mahilig mag-social media, o, lahat naman tayo, di ba? Meron tayong social media platforms. But let's take a look at this. Na? Kasi pre-pandemic, yeah, kung madalas tayo nagso-social media, it may make us feel sad, malungkot, depressed, or anxious kasi, of course, we can get affected by the posts of our friends. But, take a look at during pandemic. Grabe, na? The symptoms of depression have doubled. Ay, hindi doubled, ano ba ito? Have multiplied by 7 times. Ang taas, times 7. For anxiety, it's about 4 times 4. So ang taas po, again, it's due to the barrage of info. And sometimes kasi the infos are really unverified. Kaya nakaka-add to the panic, to the stress, and because of fake news. The third phenomenon during this time, nafe-feel nyo na po ba ito? Pandemic fatigue is real. In fact, this has been acknowledged by the World Health Organization. It's defined as unexpected or expected siya, natural, meaning it's a normal response to a prolonged public health crisis. Normal siya. Kasi again, there's the fatigue, napagod na, nakakapagod, no? Ang mahabang proseso po, ang mahabang duration of this pandemic, it may manifest as demotivation. Walang motivation o napapagod na po siguro to follow mga recommended protective behavior. Sometimes, example may nakita po ba kayo instead of the face mask covering here, dito na, exposed na ang mga ilong. So, syempre, di ba? So, of course, we understand. Again, this is recognized by the World Health Organization that this can happen. So, mas maganda na we are aware about it para we can address it. Number 4, there's another form of fatigue. Napansin nyo ba na puro fatigue? Kasi sa sobrang tagal, no? Kaya nga it can add to the anxiety levels and stress. Compassion fatigue, especially for those in the helping profession, like mga healthcare workers, frontliners, ibang klaseng frontliners, di ba? Or compassion, yung parang nauubusan na tayo ng pasensya, we become irritable na, we become emotionally disconnected, numb na tayo sa pakiramdam ng iba, lack of empathy. But it can also show up among children caring for aging parents. During this time, parents caring for children, caring for a sick family member, and because it's a global pandemic related, or supporting a family member who are going through some mental health concerns. Again, this is an unexpected reaction during this time. Puro fatigue. The last phenomenon is something I think which we've heard from last year. They say that this is the predominant emotion for 2021. Pero I think baka abot pa rin siya kahit 2022, no? Kasi parang February pa lang naman tayo. Languishing. Have you heard of this term? It's a term. Matagal na ito na term, but it was revived. Parang mas na brought up siya last year. This is the state wherein, if you can see from the photo, parang there's that sense of stagnation. Parang going with the flow. Stagnation lang. There's that feeling of being stuck in a specific situation or state. And kaya tinanong ko kayo kanina na how are you today? Pag ang sagot nyo kanina ay, okay lang, mga ganon. Baka we are in this state. Again, they say na this was the predominant emotion last year. Yun bang, we are not sad, we are not depressed, but we are also not happy. Parang we feel joyless. We feel aimless. Parang, sige na nga, just go with the flow, routinary na lahat. Parang robotic na, no, ang ating versus flourishing, versus growing in our roles, professions. So we aim for that kasi sana, no? We grow, we flourish, we do something new, mga ganun. But again, it's understandable that during this time of pandemic, baka this is our state, languishing. We are just, okay, going with the flow, aimless, apathetic, walang care. But yeah, let's acknowledge, again, this is recognized as one of the new phenomenon now. But what's important is to acknowledge that, yes, life is really, we are going through challenging times, difficult times. Again, it's more than a year, almost 2 years na po. But know that you are never alone. Kaya nga the PCP had this forum for everyone, for the lay, to let us always remember that hindi po tayo nag-iisa sa ating mga nararamdaman. Pare-pareho tayo ng mga nararamdaman. Kung ano nararamdaman niya, ganun din po sa akin, sa inyo, sa iba. Lahat tayo. We are all going through challenging times now. But we can go through this together as one community, as one Filipino community. So what can we do? With that acknowledgement now, ano ang pwede natin gawin? Ano kaya sa tingin ninyo? Ano ba ang nakatulong sa inyo to go through this pandemic? So let's enumerate. Let's always begin with kanino? Sa ating mga sarili, di ba? Always take good care of yourselves first. Walang iba. Para when you are able to recharge your batteries, pag bumalik na kayo sa 100% from a low bat, 100% kayo, then you can take care of your children, your family better, your friends, your colleagues. Always remember that you cannot pour from an empty cup. O, balik tayo sa kape, ay sa cup ko. Fill your cups to the brim until your cups runneth over. Hanggang sa, ano nga yung runneth? Umaapaw na siya. And then, parang we can share that, di ba? So, share natin yun. But what's important is unahin mo na ang sarili. Take care of yourselves first so that you can take care of the people who need you, most especially during this time. By loving yourselves. Alam niyo po, sometimes, sino ang guilty dito na parang tayo pa ang worst critics of ourselves sometimes, no? Na parang, ay, failure talaga ako. I'm really not good. I really suck. Mga ganon. Please avoid self-criticism during this time and know that all of your emotions, be it fear, takot, lungkot, kung gusto nyo umiyak, iiyak nyo po yun. Do not feel guilty about your emotions. All of your emotions, in fact, all of our emotions during this time are all normal, given the very abnormal situation. It's the situation ngayon na abnormal. Hindi po tayo. Alright? So it's okay not to feel okay during this time of pandemic. Kaya agree ako doon sa question ni Tito Boy. Di ba? Doon sa parang pageant. No? So he asked this question. Yeah. No? So again, all of our emotions now are normal given the very abnormal situation. Number 2, after loving ourselves, recharging to 100% full bath and filling our cups until our cups runneth over, let's also accept that there will always be changes. In fact, diba, according to the song of Mr. Jose Marichan, yung bago pa yung mga Christmas carols niya na maririnig natin pag mga Vermonts, he had a very popular song entitled Constant Change. The message of that song was, in life, there is nothing as constant as change, meaning every day, every minute, every second, we are constantly evolving, changing. And one of that change, in fact, is itong current pandemia natin. No? So we've seen that there were previous pandemics in the past. So, kasama siya sa change ng buhay. Similar to stress is a normal part of life. Tayo also, we are going through changes kasi we are never static, di ba? Hindi naman tayo nakatira sa vacuum. We are always dynamic. We change, we grow, we develop for the better. And kung takot po tayo ngayon sa mga changes, kasi sometimes ang changes, nadidiskaril tayo, no? It makes us feel more, it makes us feel that losing, now we've lost control. Nawawalan tayo ng control sa mga bagay-bagay, or we feel na nagkakaroon ng disequilibrium, nawawalang equilibrium natin, do not be afraid because we know na kahit anong change pa ito, whatever change it is, this too shall pass. Matatapos din siya. Similar to the pandemics in the past. The Great Depression, ano-ano pa mga flu dati, natatapos din. Wala naman pong nagiging forever na mga challenges and difficulties. It will come to pass. So let's always maintain that positive mindset pa rin. Third, physical health is very important, as mentioned earlier. Sa definition of health: physical, mental, social. Physical health, get enough rest and sleep. I hope they're still able to get enough rest and sleep. Nakakatulog pa ba kayo? Or kain also. Mas maganda, we keep ourselves well-nourished always and exercise. In fact po, studies have shown na pag tayo ay kulang sa tulog, when we are sleep-deprived, take a look at this photo. When we lack sleep or when we are sleep-deprived, kung kulang sa tulog, it may affect almost all of the organ systems of our body, especially our cognition, brain functions. Again, for those who are working, mga estudyante, kailangan matulog po. Kasi when we lack sleep, we may feel parang there's that brain fog na parang hirap tayo mag-memorize, memory is impaired, judgment is impaired, concentration, focus, kaya hirap tayo mag-focus. And it can lead to higher levels of anxiety, depression, increases risk for other medical problems like stroke, diabetes, cancer, heart disease, and weight gain because of the interplay of the hormones in the body. Exercise is very important. Nakakapaggalaw-galaw pa ba kayo? During this time kasi of pandemic, no, nasabi nila, nabawasan our physical activity, mobility has been affected kasi nawala na yung chance before na tumakbo sa EDSA to catch the bus para wag tayong malate sa ating trabaho, sa ating school. So nabawasan ang ating physical activity. Reminder lang po, galaw-galaw para iwas sabaw. Okay? Para maganda pa rin po ang blood circulation, especially blood circulation to our brain cells. We need that nourishment for our brain cells because we need those mental calories, especially when we do our Zoom meetings, diba? So, galaw-galaw po, any chance na you have to do stretching. Hindi naman kailangan gym levels, ha? Hindi naman. Kahit na stretching, yoga, whatever, things na which can make you move about in your home, maglilinis, planting, etc., those can help. Number 4, are you still able to do this? Relax, relax. Pag may time, find a stress outlet. Do something, kahit na very simple, na which can give you that well-deserved me time. It's a form of activity which will give you that feeling of relaxation, rest, to allow you to recuperate. Or do the things which make you happy. Yung iba nagpa-plants, di ba? Plantitos, plantitas, TikTok, nagsasayaw. And what's important is, if you can, watch mga shows na nakakatawa. Laughter is still prescribed by the doctors. So, di ba? Laughter is still the best medicine. Do you know why? When we laugh, pagtawa talaga na galing bituka, yung halakhak na galing bituka na wag pipigilan, it will boost the levels of endorphins, happy hormones, and these endorphins, in fact, are the natural painkillers. Kasi nga, endorphins would come from the word endogenous morphine. Kaya sila natural painkillers of our body. And of course, when we laugh, when we smile, diba, ang sarap ng feelings sa ating mga muscles. It lowers anxiety and stress. So, watch po mga shows na which can make you feel good, laugh, or share jokes with your friends, with your family members. Another very important tip is to practice mindfulness. What is mindfulness? In fact, we teach this po for those under our care, mindfulness therapy. Na? Mindfulness, ilan po ba sa atin dito ang hindi nakakatulog sa gabi because we constantly worry, overthinking to the point na punong-puno ang ating isip and we cannot sleep because it's parang sasabog na, no, ang ating isip. What we teach is to be present, be here and now. Take a look, ha? Meaning, mindful, punong-puno ang isip kaya hindi nakakatulog, versus mindful, 1L, mindfulness. Focus lang muna tayo on the present. No? Learn to be present Enjoy the moment. Stop and smell the roses. O, di ba? Ito po ang ibig sabihin niya. I'm sure, no, lahat tayo meron tayong mga past failures, mistakes. Huwag na natin balik-balikan yon. Those are done already and I'm sure we've learned our lessons from those. And let's not naman plan too far ahead into the future kasi baka because of the uncertainty ngayon, it may only make us feel frustrated, angry pag hindi natuloy ang ating mga plans. What's important is to be in the moment, be in the present. Focus on your tasks for today, here, now. Take it one task at a time. Pag natapos na yon, move on to the next task and take it one day at a time para hindi tayo overwhelmed. At the end of each day, celebrate small victories. In fact, walang small, no? There's nothing a small victory. Or everything that we do will always be something, will always be an achievement for us. So celebrate victories at the end of each day. Number 6, malapit na tayo to avoid infodemic. Ano po ba ang kailangan gawin? To avoid that infodemic na talagang grabe, no? Tumataas ang symptoms of depression, anxiety. Set limits for visiting, for viewing your social media, and for reading the news or listening to the news. We recommend po kahit twice a day. Once in the morning to keep updated of the news from the previous day. Another at night para lang updated tayo sa mga balita during the day. We also recommend digital detox. May detox pala, no, ang digital. Not just for diet detox, but also for digital. Meaning po, if you can, limit social media use, gadget use. Kung pwede po, set digital-free zones in your home. Like no gadgets pag kumakain ang pamilya sa dining table. No gadgets in your bedroom, no TV because of the blue light. Effect of blue light kasi is it's activating. It stimulates our brain cells to think na, kasi it resembles sunlight. So it will tell our brain na kahit 1 a.m. na pala, kung nanonood tayo ng mga videos, sasabihin ng ating brain, it's still morning. O, kaya tayo will lose sleep. No? So set digital-free zones in your home. Turn off notifications if you can, kung kaya, para wag tayong gulat sa gabi, no? Sometimes kasi ang mga gadgets natin, tulog na tayong gano'n, tapos ting! Bigla tayong nagugula, nagigising tayo. So that's part of digital detox. And when we do our mga online conferences, when we look at, when we are really engaged, no, sa ating mga tablets and screens, remember the 20-20-20 rule to avoid digital eye strain. Yung nagre-red eyes or nag-dry eyes, or that feeling of medyo irritated ang ating eyes. Every 20 minutes, look at something 20 feet away for 20 seconds just to make sure na our eyesight would remain at its best pa rin, no, na function. Ito po, tinuturo din namin to. We remind the kids to do this, or yung mga teachers po, when we give talks, we encourage them to incorporate mga activities na pwedeng gumalaw-galaw ang mga bata para lang ma-avoid, no, yung digital eye strain. Number 7, boundary. Alam niyo po, in my clinical practice, I'm not sure kung nakaka-relate kayo nito. Sabi nila, Doc, parang nawala na talaga, Doc. Blurred lines na. No? They say blurred lines na. Ang professional versus personal lives, because sometimes, because we have our gadgets always with us, napapamiting kahit na Sabado, kahit na Linggo, may mga immediate mga mga stat. I mean, not stat, mga emergency meetings, di ba? May mga ganon. Yeah, so that's one of the concern, blurred. Please, if you can, kung kaya po, if there are bosses, mga companies listening now, na mga heads, we can, separate, no? Make sure that there's boundary between personal life, me time versus professional life. Kung kailangan po, ilimit lang ang Zoom meetings. It shouldn't be naman na kailangan puro Zoom, no? Or if we really need to do Zoom meetings, limit it to the shortest possible, like 20, 30 minutes. And kami po, we follow this, kasi di ba I'm also a teacher. So there was this memo before, no, for us mga guro po. During weekends, if we can, no emails, no texts during the weekend, beginning at 5 p.m. on a Friday until 8 a.m. on a Monday, unless if absolutely necessary for us to be able to reclaim our weekend. Pag minsan kasi, no, pati weekend, wala, no, talagang busy pa rin. So, if we can, reclaim your weekend, play with your kids, connect with your friends and family members during the weekend, or kung kulang sa tulog, as mentioned kanina, sleep deprivation can really cause problems also. Sleep in during the weekends because this can be actually good for all of us. Matulog, bawi po sa lost hours of sleep during yung mga lost hours of sleep natin during the weekday, bawiin natin on a Saturday or Sunday. During this time of physical na distancing. Bawal tayo mag-party-party, di ba? Bawal tayo mag-gatherings muna. Physically, we should be 1 to 2 meters apart. We can always maintain social connectedness. What do we mean by this? Do you recall the 3 dimensions or elements of health? Physical, mental, and social. Kasama ang social health and well-being in the definition of health. So meaning po, catch up digitally with your colleagues, mga kapwa nyo guro, kapwa sa opisina, mga kasama nyo po, no, sa mga trabaho or sa school or sa mga families or friends. Always po, let's remember that during this time na magkakalayo tayo, teamwork pa rin. Let's do teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work. If you know of anyone in your company or mga friends na who are going through tough times, reach out. Now is the time na walang iwanan, reach out, offer your help if you can. And kung merong magsabi sa inyo, ma'am or friend, talagang nalulungkot ako, I feel burned out or nag-iisip na ako ng mga negative things. Pag kayo po ang friend na sinabihan, what not to say? Ay, wala yan sis. It's just a phase. Ay, hindi ganon, ha? You'll snap out of it. Or stop being so selfish. You're just trying to get attention or get over it. We know po na, again, all of our emotions during this time are normal and we need to acknowledge our emotions. Sometimes kasi it's sad, no? Marinig natin to, depressed ka? Excuse mo lang yan kasi tamad ka. Ayaw mong pumasok. Ay, hindi po yung tama. Again, these are real emotions and reactions or feelings during this time. Anxiety, wala yan. Hinga ka lang. Or panic attack, uy, ang OA mo, girl, ha? Wag po. What can we say? What can we say instead? I'm glad you told me and I want to help you, or I'll stay with you until someone is here to help you and take over, or until help arrives and I'm going to find someone to help you. Now is the time na walang iwanan, no one left behind. Sama-sama po tayo kasi we are all going through rough times or difficult times together. Second to the last tip, take care of your spiritual needs. Alam niyo po, kami po sa Philippine Psychiatric Association, we follow po no yung the di ba kanina, physical, mental, and social health and well-being. We add one dimension to it. We include spirituality. So it's bio, psychosocial, spiritual. Take care of your spiritual needs. Ang spirituality po, it's beyond religion. It's not about religion. Beyond pa siya. It means finding the meaning and purpose of what is going on now. Ano po ba? No? It's that time to reflect, what is this teaching me? Ano ba ang meaning ng mga pinagdadaanan kong challenges ngayon? Ano kaya ang tinuturo nito sa akin? What lessons can I learn and how can I grow? Diba? Yun lagi, no? How can I grow from this situation? And some of the ways to find meaning would be listening to uplifting songs. Di ba ang sarap-sarap makinig ng mga uplifting, positive songs lang? Or talk to your spiritual advisor, talk to someone, mga spiritual services, and proven po ito, ha? Part of spirituality and to find meaning in life is to practice gratitude. Be grateful by counting your blessings for the day. Kahit hindi aabot sa 5, kahit isa lang. Sometimes kasi hirap lalo na kung we are too stressed. Sometimes wala tayong maisip na blessing. Please count your blessings. It will give us that anchor that we need. It will give us that strength to carry on, anchor. Mas mag-focus po tayo on what we have. Ano ang meron tayo rather than sa mga ano ang wala ako. yung mga lack, mga ganun. Wag ganon. Let's focus on our blessings. It will give us that anchor and it will make us feel pa rin po na meron at meron pa rin tayong purpose for being here during this time of pandemic. Lastly, in the face of challenges, sobrang challenge, no? Dami talagang challenges now. Na-remember niyo po yung lubid kanina na parang na-stretch na siya too thinly? Umaabot po ba tayo sa point na we break, naputol, or bend lang, like a bamboo? Bend or putol. What do you think is the term referred to by this statement or by this question? The term referred to by this question is our ability to be resilient. Resilience, na its ability to bounce back from difficult life experiences. Bangon, di ba? Bounce back. Please remember this cute ball. Oh. Yellow ball, very happy ball. Smiling siya kahit bumagsak na siya, bumabangon. We all have this trait. Lahat po tayo, we have this trait. Remember, as proof, our lolos, lolas, mga ninuno natin, no? They've been through a lot. World War I, World War II, ano pa ba? Ano pa ba iba mga great pandemic, a lot of wars. But we are here today. O, di ba? We are the product of their their victory, their ability to bounce back from challenges, their survival. So we also carry that in our blood. So kayang-kaya natin to bangon. In fact, one of my mentors from my previous fellowship told me, kasi syempre fellowship na medyo toxic na. Sabi ko, sir, ay ma'am, ma'am pala yun, but we call them by their names. I feel na I'm in my rock bottom, parang itong nasa bagsak na rock bottom already. Sabi niya, ay, okay lang yan, Joan. Sabi niya, don't worry, Joan, because when you acknowledge na you feel na you're in your rock bottom already, remember that there's no other way to go but up. Up, 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 and away. All right? So another way to translate it is, ano? What makes you come alive? Para bumalik tayo dun sa pagbangon. Ask yourself, what makes you come alive? Ano ang bumabangon sa inyo sa umaga? O, di ba? That's a good way of reflection. Umaga na, sunrise na, ano ang babangon sa inyo? Ano ang magpapabangon sa inyo? What makes you come alive? All right, so that is resilience. And with that, I would like to thank PCP. This would be my take-home points po pala before I end. Fill your cup until it runneth over. And then when it overflows, then you have a lot to share. Share your energy, your talents, your skills to your family, to your children, to your parents, to your colleagues. So fill your cups. Take care of yourselves first, so that you can take care of the people who need you most during this time. Number 2, huwag matakot sa salitang stress and mga changes like this pandemic. This too shall pass, similar to the other changes before. And know that during mga crucial, difficult times like this, we will definitely, pag matapos na ito, we will definitely come out as better, stronger individuals, both personally and professionally. Kasi mas maintindihan na natin na I'm strong. Alam ko na kung anong gagawin ko the next time. I know ano yung mga strengths ko, how can I improve on myself, and the support system available for us. So I'm sure na this will be a great teaching or learning experience for all of us. Lastly, walang iwanan po, ha? No one left behind. If you feel na you need to reach out to someone, kaya nagkakasulputan, di ba, yung mga community pantries. Yeah, kasi this is the bayanihan spirit working. Na? So, walang iwanan. Let's look out for each other, reach out, ask, or if tayo naman po ang nangangailangan ng tulong, please remember that you can always reach out. The Philippine Psychiatric Association is always here to help our fellow Filipinos. Reach out, ask for help. It is never a sign of a weakness of one's character to ask for help. In fact, it's a strength to know na, yeah, we need help, and know that help is always available. With that po, maraming salamat PCP, Philippine College of Physicians, for this opportunity on behalf of the Philippine Psychiatric Association. Thank you po.
Thank you very much, Dr. Joanne. Wow.
Thank you po, Doc.
Bow, bow, bow.
Uy, salamat! Thank you, Doc! Thank you
I'm
po,
sure
Doc.
lahat ng audience natin ngayon, whether they are in the health profession or syempre lay, no? I'm sure
Yes.
na-gets nila ang inyong message. And we have a participant as far as Cotabato.
Oh, wow!
Nabasa ko nga dito, still washing. So hindi ko alam kung magka-typo error lang siya or still watching or still washing or baka multitasking siya.
Okay lang po,
Okay.
understandable.
So I'd like to acknowledge yung mga comments muna natin ng mga natin, no, viewers, no.
Yes po.
Inspiring topic. Yan. Indeed an awesome lecture, very beautiful. Yan.
Thank you po.
Nakaka-inspire po kayo, Doktora. Okay, mental health matters. Okay. Doktora, I'm sure hindi lang naman lahat nakadaan, no? Yung experience yan, no? Siguro, one way or another, na-experience natin yung anxiety, yung stress, depression. Especially we're in sabihin natin, 2 years of this pandemic. And during that time, lalo na yung mga first few months last year, lahat tayo nangangapa, no? Hindi natin alam kung anong gagawin natin. So, do you think, Doktora, sa ngayong point ng pandemic natin, nabawasan na ba yung level of anxiety natin, the Pinoys in general?
Oh, yes. In fact, Doc, no, yung that study which I presented earlier, 2020 yon na results. But I'm sure po, kahit based na lang po from my clinical practice, there is that opportunity din po kasi, Doc, when we go through mga difficult times, challenging times, merong opportunity, it presents an opportunity also for us to adapt, to learn mga new ways of coping, new ways of handling stress, and nakaka-adjust na. Kasi usually there is that adjustment period talaga, which is even in the books, it's stated that adjustment phase really is mga 3 months and then or beyond. Parang, so naka-adjust na po. No? We are beyond that adjustment phase already. But because persistent pa rin, so we are also continuously learning to adapt to it. So yeah, I'm sure po na we've learned some healthy coping skills and we've learned mga new ways of handling stress and of course, know also kung yung mga Doc, yung mga organizations na which can also help us.
Support groups, no?
Support groups.
Yes,
So, dumadami din yan, Doc. And helplines available also. Marami din po. And bayanihan, Doc. Kaya lumabas yung the bayanihan spirit no, sa mga community pantries. It tells us that talagang we are all learning to adapt and to do something for us pa rin, to remain strong and to be able for us to go through this pandemic po.
Especially last year, di ba, once you see sa social media, once you see a profile pic na black or may kandila, ay naku, alam mo na. Alam mo na merong nawala sa family, no? Tapos as doctors, nag-worry tayo, parang sunod-sunod na yung mga colleagues natin, regardless kung anong specialty, parang sunod-sunod sila. Kaya talagang siguro, nakadagdag din yung social media platform na yan, no? Lalo sa pag-post ng mga colleagues din natin. Okay.
Yeah, Doc. Oo.
We have several questions here, no?
Yes, Doc.
Bakit hindi nawawala yung problem on the stigma on mental health? So, parang despite sabi po nga natin na medyo nakakope na tayo, meron tayong support group, and yet, but yung stigma parang hindi nababawasan or nawawala?
Yeah. Yes, Doc, no, which is really unfortunate po. And of course, the Philippine Psychiatric Association is continuously working on this to fight the stigma surrounding mental health and of course surrounding the current yung COVID infection kasi may mga stigma din po, Doc, related to those infected with COVID. We are constantly working on this. We need lang po siguro, Doc, to educate more people. Kaya mga forum, Doc, like this is very important kasi in fact, Doc, kami po sa Philippine Psychiatric Association, I think there's only mga 500 to 600 of us currently. So, konti lang po talaga kami. But we do our best to reach out to everyone to help fight the stigma surrounding mental health. Kasi ngayon po, kailangan pa rin talagang we present the science behind mental health. Of course, there is a science behind it. Yun lang, we need to correct mga misconceptions also. Through participation in mga fora like this.
Yes, I agree kasi nga parang tama bang pwedeng sabihin ba na mas naniniwala sila sa Google?
Oo, Doc. Kaya,
Sa
pero better,
Google?
correct, Doc. Pero we are glad, Doc, no, na ngayon po, Doc, simula nung na-pass na ang mental health law last June
Yes,
of 2018, now it's there po in the law kasi to bring mental health mga awareness campaigns to the school. So very
yes, I
active na po
agree.
ngayon, Doc,
Oo.
proactive na, including to the mga ano po, Doc, offices, mga workplaces. So we also do that, Doc, para kasama na rin mga workplaces, and then they are also able to acknowledge yung mga stress nila sa workplace. So slowly po, Doc, slowly we are on our way to reaching out to everyone po, our fellow Filipinos.
Yeah, so I'd like to inform the audience, so hindi lang mga nasa profession ng kalusugan ay naapektuhan, no?
Yes, opo.
Sabi nga ni Doktora, being a faculty member, bawal ang mag-email sa faculty ng weekends, di ba? Siyempre, as for one, no, I also experience yung mga students nagpo-post sa Twitter, nagsasabi lang kung ano-ano. So akala ng mga students din, sila lang yung affected. Siyempre, as faculty tayo, Doktora, di ba, naapektuhan din tayo sa mga sinasabi nila. Hindi lang natin kasi nilalabas through social media.
Correct
Diba?
po, correct. In fact po, talagang all of us, all po, wala talagang pinipili gender, age group, from the children to the teens to the elderly, lahat po talaga tayo.
Nung una nga po, parang tuwan-tuwa tayo kasi ay sama-sama tayo sa bahay, di ba? Bonding. Pero habang tumatagal, parang nagkakaroon na ng social, I would call this, relationship issues.
Yes.
Tama po ba, Doktora? Nagkakaroon na ng galit, inis, hindi naman nag-uusap dahil nagsi-cellphone lahat. So parang, do you think, Doktora, hindi rin naging maganda sa family relationship yung naging parang nag-work from home lahat or kulong sa bahay lahat?
Ito, Doc, there is such a concept, we call it, ano po, Doc, no? There's a concept as cabin fever. Yun po yun, Doc, cabin fever. Yung cabin, yung parang we are all in an enclosed space, and fever siya, it's not the fever na nakakahawa. Fever because we've been confined for a prolonged period of time in that space, and sometimes, sa katagalan kasi, Doc, no, sometimes our work schedules will encroach on the other, tapos there's that feeling of irritability. Sometimes hindi talaga na-avoid. Sometimes in any ano naman, Doc, 'di ba, situation, pwedeng sa bahay, pwede din also pag sa opisina. So lalo na ngayon, because of prolonged po na confinement in the home, sometimes we are unable to avoid that, but we can do something about it. What we always advise, Doc, para maiwasan po itong mga concerns, conflicts in the home, is to have yung mga specific spots po ninyo. And then, halimbawa, for work from home, dito ka. And then, yung nag-online class dito. And then, if you really need to focus, you can put a sign na please do not disturb. I am going through, I'm doing an exam. Keep quiet, please, mga ganun. And give yourself some me time na yung away from, kahit na kung wala talagang space at home, Doc, what we advise is to put on headphones, listen to mga uplifting songs, music, parang me time pa rin siya, or watch something na happy, para pa rin, you still feel that sense of having your personal time.
Yes, kasi support group din ng family, number one na support group is ang family, di ba? So, I agree with Doktora. There's another question here, Doktora, no?
Yes.
Siyempre, during the pandemic, masyado tayo mapag-isip, overthinker tayo, di ba?
Yes.
Praning. Ayan, yan ang tamang term yata, no? Praning. So, can this lead to a mental disorder?
Yung the over-worrying po, Doc.
Yes, the overthinking po.
Overthinking. Sometimes, sorry. Sometimes nga po, Doc, no, there were dati na parang, especially for those with previous or past histories po of going through some mental health concerns, parang studies have shown na they may exacerbate po, no? Their symptoms could exacerbate during this time, especially for the anxiety, Doc. Lalo-lalo na yung the start of the lockdown noong 2020, yung kailangan naging na po, no? Parang na-heightened ang kanilang sense po of being, halimbawa, obsessive, compulsive, about cleanliness, yung mga ganun po, or mga fake news, and then they become, they develop mga na overvalued ideas, mga hindi nag-exacerbate ang kanilang mga thoughts, leading to some form po of mga symptoms, especially for those with diagnosed with previous mental health concerns po.
Yes. So I think yun nga po, no, I agree with Doktora kanina ng mga fake news.
Yes.
nakadagdag yan. So, kaya ang hirap din ngayon to filter those news, di ba?
Correct.
Ito, Dora, one concern, I am
Yes.
a female and single.
Yes.
Bakit daw single are prone to, yung sa kanilang study nyo, depression yata or anxiety, no? I mean, the risk factors pala, the risk
Risk
factors.
factors. Opo.
Oo. Single kasi siya and female, so concerned siya.
But those are some risk factors lang po. But what we always we remind everyone is that it's always an interplay of a lot of factors. Hindi lang po siya based lang doon sa single. And kahit naman single tayo, if we are surrounded by very supportive, loving family members and friends, then the support system should always be it's a great factor po, protective factor in fact, ang social support system. And kahit female po, it doesn't mean na talagang there's no ano lang po yun, from the data lang po. But studies kasi have shown na may mas marami pong risk factors for females because of hormonal changes, especially when we have our monthly cycles. Mga ganun po. No? And ang females kasi more expressive. So maybe during the time of the survey, mas na-express nila ang kanilang mga fear. No? Because females are really like that. They're more expressive, mas mataas po ang kanilang help-seeking behavior. So really, those are some of the factors there.
Okay. In relation to the female status, Doctor, so I am a mother. Okay, so what usually burdened with family matters. Okay, so and financial state.
Correct.
So what advice can you give to us, as mothers, to be able to cope with these mental health problems?
Which is really a very important question, kasi talaga pong mothers ngayon, let's really acknowledge their superpower roles ngayon, di ba, Doc? Superpower nila na to be able to multitask. I mean, do a lot of things given the 24 hours every day. Kasi sila po, naglalaba, nagluluto, nagpa-plancha, naglilinis, nag-work from home, nagtuturo,
nag-tutor
pa yan sila, Doc, ng kanilang mga anak. What we always advise po, ma'am, similar to what I presented kayo na yung pang number 8 ata, social support is very important. Now is the time, if we can po, let's get an ally sa bahay natin. For example, let's divide tasks so that we can conquer everything right at the end of the day. For example, kung kailangan talaga po na we need to be in a meeting kasi it's really important, they need our inputs in that meeting, then maybe po someone can take over. Someone can help muna sa pagluto, sa paglaba, or kung yung iba po with medyo mga teenagers na po na kids, maybe we can ask them to help out na they tutor na muna the younger kids in the family. So really, now is the time to divide tasks and conquer. Magtulungan po tayo even in our homes. Share responsibilities po. And let's remember na this is temporary. This is temporary. I'm sure na pag tayo naman ang may time next time, we will also do the same thing and help our fellow po na sa household.
I agree, Doctora. So importante dyan is dapat merong schedule na talagang magkikita kayo regardless kung ano yung workload, dapat stop. Diba? Pahinga. Kasi you did not compromise yung family time Diba?
Yes.
Hindi na kayo nag-uusap kasi nasa cellphone, nasa Mobile Legends yung iba, nasa Netflix yung iba. So dapat you have to organize and ito dapat kahit ano yan, stop, magkita tayo, kakain tayo sabay-sabay, etc. Diba? Or,
yes, Doc, po.
Sige po, Doctora, sige po.
Yun yung importance, Doc, of what I also mentioned kayo na set mga digital-free zones. That's very important. Kasi ngayon po, with everyone on, diba, with their gadgets, o talagang nahirap po. So as moms and mga parents po, tatay, nanay, mas maganda also, we become role models. Na wag naman din tayo makita nila na habang kumakain, may hawak din tayo.
Dapat bawal.
Bawal
sa kainan yan.
Let's be good role models also. And kung kaya po, no digital free zones and may mga time allotted na no gadgets but we do something na mas yung mas family mas na-enhance yung the family bonding.
Yes, I agree.
For some, Doc, sila, Doc, sabay-sabay silang sumasayaw-sayaw. Then they record it. Opo. Yung iba naman po, they play in the sa backyard. Ganun po.
Yes, yung iba nag-TikTok so kumikita sila.
Correct.
Sa YouTube, kumikita sila, di ba? May family time na, meron pang income generating pa sila. Di ba?
Yung iba, Doc, gumagawa sila ng Doc, yung mga
Mga vlogs, yes. O yung
Oh,
mga
mga
arts.
arts, Doc. Sabay-sabay
Yes.
sila nagpe-paint or music. Mga ganun, Doc. So, yeah,
Yes.
this is the time also to be creative. And,
Yes. So,
yeah.
na-mention nga ni Tora kanina, di ba, mga plants. I'm sure hindi lang namang mga
Yes.
plants ang pwede natin gawin, di ba? Painting, yan. Mga
Cooking.
yan, cooking. So, Tora, wala bang food fatigue?
Wala. Ano lang.
Di ba, lahat deliver. Ano kayo kakainin ko? Ano kayo merienda ko? Parang ganyan.
We always advise, Doc, everything in moderation. Kasi Doc, di ba, with the ngayon, nabawasan kasi ang the physical activity.
Yes,
Nabawasan
okay.
kung dati kasi, yung mga anak natin, Doc, no? Kung dati kasi, kaya nilang to go up and down the stairs sa school. Bawa, ang first class nila nasa first floor. Tapos ang second class nasa fifth floor. Takbo silang gano'n. Ngayon, nawala. Kasi everyone is on their chair, sitting in front of the computer. Mas maganda, we incorporate pa talaga, Doc, yung physical activity.
Kaya yung sa lecture ni Tora, ang ganda-ganda, no? Talagang yung impact ng pandemic mararamdaman sa lahat ng klase ng tao, stages ng buhay, no? From bata to elderly, lalo yung mga lolo't lola. Tora, ano ba yung mga pinaka-common na nararamdaman or kino-complain ng mga lolo't lola natin? Lalo na sila talagang kahit anong level, bawal ang above 65.
Oh, Doc, for the elderly naman, ang ano po nila, no, concern now is isolation. That isolation, loneliness, and we need to really monitor for this kasi studies have shown that when anyone feels lonely, isolated, it may increase the risk for having symptoms of depression also. Lalo na po ang ating mga elderly. So kailangan we constantly communicate po with our lolas. Kung malalayo po sila, like in the provinces sila, and we are not able to visit them kasi dahil sa quarantine protocols.
Yes, so.
At least digitally, we can always catch up po kahit video calls and give them also po the chance to, may mga activities din po sila.
Yes,
siguro,
I agree, no?
Yeah, yung mga lang po, enhance ng kanilang cognitive processes also.
Basta i-monitor lang na hindi lalabas ng bahay.
Opo.
Kasi may mga iba, di ba, tumata kasi talagang lalabas sila kasi sanay na sila.
Yes po. Yeah, Doc. So talaga po ngayon. Kaya nga po ang social media, gadget use has both pros and cons po, Doc, but always in moderation. Let's know our limits lang, and find the balance always na we have control over our social media use rather than it having control over us.
Yes, I agree, Dr. 101%. Or is it okay daw when you feel lonely na you feel like crying?
Of course po. I mentioned that kanina na if you want to just ask for a break from your boss, for example, boss, I need this mental health day na break. And kung kailangan pong iiyak, go for it. It's a form of expression ng emotions. Better to feel it and express it in a healthy way, like crying, rather than deny it. Kasi kung i-deny natin yung emotions natin and just we force ourselves pa rin to act like wala namang problem, then baka it may accumulate and later on we may feel it na in a more severe or complicated manner. Yes, crying is a form of expression. Ang other forms of healthy expression, Doc, aside from crying, would include journaling. Pwede nyo isulat ang inyong mga thoughts, mga emotions. Kasi parang pa rin po, expression pa rin siya. Especially if parang wala ka pang trusted masyado to tell your stories or feelings, then you can journal. Or yung iba naman po, Doc, sila, they yung personal po na anong tawag dun, Doc? Vlogs. Yung mga gano'n na para sa kanila lang, no, na they do mga stuff and then they record it for themselves and then they can look back. Ganun po. Yung iba po, they express it through arts.
Yes,
drawing.
Drawing, yes, I agree. Iba nga nakakompose, I agree, or nakakompose ng song.
Yeah, music
express
also.
nila yung kanilang feelings. Not necessarily because of the pandemic, but because yung nararamdaman nila like isolation, feeling of loneliness, belongingness, yan. So ang dami naging na-enhance yung kanilang artistry.
Yeah.
Diba?
Ang dami, Doc, naging creative.
Yes,
Grabe.
oo.
At saka pati, Doc, yung yung iba, they express it through cooking. Di
Yes.
ba, Doc? Ang dami natin nakikita ngayon. Tapos ang bongga ng mga presentation,
Yes.
kanilang mga binake.
Inebenta na yan, kaya kumikita pa sila, di ba?
Of course. Kaya nga, Doc, sinasabi namin sa mga, may mga din po kasi individuals na medyo po nawalan ng lay off, no? Or na nag-downsize ang company sila. We always remind them na never lose hope because during this time na wala pa tayong work, for example, we are waiting for that opportunity. We can do so much. Like siguro learn new skills and then bibenta yung mga food or enhance yung mga skills na ninyo, like enroll in mga online classes para pagbalik na ng pag may job opportunities na ulit. Then your resume, your CV is, di ba, Doc? Mas ano na
Yes.
siya, bonggang-bongga
Yes.
kasi you've learned new skills during this time of pandemic or attended mga short courses.
Yes, ang
na
dami
which can
dyan sa...
boost.
Yes,
Oo.
Dr. Ang dami sa YouTube, di ba? Mga do-it-yourself. Yan, ang
Yes,
dami
oo,
dyan.
Doc.
Oo, okay. Dr. What about the kids? No? I'm sure kids also experience stress. Is it
Yes.
of too much exposure sa social media or too much use of the devices or the gadgets?
Oh, ang kids kasi, Doc, let's understand, itong mga kids ngayon, they belong na to the Gen Z na yan sila, Doc.
Yes, so...
Gen Z, ito yung mga Doc, sila na kasi yung teens ngayon, up to mga siguro 8 years old or 7, sila na yung mga digital natives. We call them digital natives. So talaga it's second nature na sa kanila, no? Na talagang they have gadgets and very, grabe, techie-techie sila. That's good also kasi talagang sa generation nila, Doc, talagang that's the way to go na sa kanila eh. Otherwise, they will be left out. Now, the concerns po nila, especially yung mga ganong age po, elementary, na-miss na nila ang kanilang classmates. So
Yes.
there is that, na-miss na nila to play. During this age group kasi, Doc, no, that school age, play is very important. Pati mga play. So they really need to play, to socialize with their classmates kasi that's part of the development of their social skills, na which is needed until adulthood, di ba, Doc? Na kailangan natin, we know how to socialize, take turns, sharing of your baon, greeting your teachers, good morning, respect, mga ganun. So yun, Doc, ang medyo kailangan, ang medyo nami-miss nila, yung mga Doc, let's share our baon, exchange baon. Then after, ang mga teenagers naman, Doc, iba naman, yung sa kanila. They also miss that socialization, lalo na sila, Doc, di ba? That's the age kasi na they want to slowly disengage na or parang
the family,
be more independent from from the primary family. Ay mga crush nila, nami-miss na nila, no? Dati kasi they want to go to school early kasi they will see their crushes. So ngayon nawala yung and ang isa sa concern nila, Doc, is they missed out on mga cancellation ng mga party,
classes,
foundation day, mga ganun, Doc. Foundation day, JS prom, lalo na yung mga senior high school currently.
Yes, agree.
They missed that. So there is also that grief, Doc, over cancellation of these mga rites of passage for students. So hindi nila na-feel po yun. So those are some of their concerns.
Okay. Doctor, I think this is my last question.
Sure po.
With all the stress, no?
Yes.
Yun po bang statistics on suicide?
Yes.
Tumaas, nagbago, tumaas, bumaba, or pareho lang? From the time that started the pandemic up to the present time po?
Okay. So ito po, there has been no published report on the number of deaths or from suicides na completed or attempts na yung injuries from attempted suicides, but from the Philippine Statistics Authority, sila lang po ang nagbigay ng data and it showed na there was an increase po, although we haven't seen talaga po the full report for this. But what I can say po is that based from the number of calls ng National Center for Mental Health Crisis Hotline, talaga pong it increased. The calls po sa kanilang helpline, which is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the number of calls increased at the start of the pandemic last March 2020. So talagang there were more calls for help during this time.
Okay. Siguro, Doctora, it's multifactorial din yan, ano?
Yes,
yes,
opo,
okay.
Multifactorial always.
Okay, so it's very important that we really, na-mention kanina ni Doctora, ano yung mga early warning signs,
yes,
na meron tayong nararamdaman na iba sa ating sarili.
And if it
So,
becomes persistent, Doc, to the point na it will affect na our functionality. Like yung
yes.
tipong we cannot be productive na and we cannot do our roles anymore, and it may create some conflict with family members, with other persons in the society. And if umaabot na po doon, Doc, sa mga entertaining self-harm thoughts as a way of
Yes, no?
going through, coping during this
Oh,
time.
yes.
So mas maganda po, Doc, always remember natin, help is available. The Department of Health, in collaboration with the National Center for Mental Health, they
Health.
have a 24/7 helpline, crisis helpline. It's 1553. Kaya mabilis lang po siyang maalala. So please dial it kaagad. And
Yan.
again, it's never a sign of a weakness of one's character po if we decide po to seek and ask for help. Never po. In fact, it's a strength. It's a strength po natin to know and to acknowledge that we need help, and we know that help and support is always available.
Yes, I agree, Doktora. Kaya nga yung kanina, di ba, parang kasi takot sila at nahihiya, yung stigma kasi yun ang malaking effect sa kanila, kaya
Yes.
hindi sila nag-seek ng professional help.
Opo.
Okay.
But let's fight the stigma. Again po, it's not drama-drama.
Yes.
If we know of
Hindi
anyone...
OA, hindi
Oh,
arte.
Doc. Correct. Hinighlight ko yung Doc. It's never arte-arte lang yan. Or
Oo.
OA. Drama-drama. Ayaw mo lang kasi pumasok sa school kasi tamad ka. Hindi po ganun yun. These are all real emotions, real reactions and feelings, and we need to reach out and help those who would come to us presenting with these concerns po.
Yes.
What's important pa rin kasi always, Doc, we emphasize, safety lagi. Safety is the priority. And let's keep
Yes.
everyone safe,
Yes,
especially
I agree.
during this time.
Yes, I agree, Doktora, no? So, lahat tayo dapat happy lang, di ba? Happy
Yes.
thoughts. Sabi
Opo.
lagi sinasabi, life is short, enjoy
Correct.
life, di ba? And one characteristic of us Filipinos, yung resilient tayo eh.
Of
Madali tayo
course.
mag-adjust kay bagyo, lindol, nakaka-adjust talaga
Correct.
tayo.
Yes,
diba?
Doc.
Yun ang maganda sa ating mga Pinoy,
Yes.
yung resiliency natin.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's talagang buhay na buhay. Ang
Yes.
atin pong nasa dugo natin, Doc.
Hindi nawawala.
Like yung daddy ko, Doc, yung dad ko, ano yan siya, Doc, survivor ng World War II. So talaga,
okay.
alam ko na, ay, nasa aking dugo din yun. So ganun po, lahat tayo, I'm sure our lolos, lolas, dumaan sa mga pagsubok dati. At ang proof doon na we survived it is we are all here and we have that capacity to bounce back from any adverse life experience.
Yes, I agree, Doctor. And of course, magkakalimutan, andyan ang ating pamilya.
Yes.
Na una nating talagang malalapitan, di ba?
Of course,
Kaya sabi niyo, Toro, wag OA, wag arte-arte.
Support system.
Yes, kung wag mag-resort sa mga mag-take ng mga medications, kung unahin ng pamilya natin. Andyan ang pamilya para to help support us.
Correct, Doc. And of course, lastly, Doc, spirituality. Again, spirituality is also an important aspect of health.
Yes, I agree. Especially, ngayon marami nang nami-miss yung pagpunta sa church eh. Kasi puro online na lang daw. So, ang sabi ko nga natin, mag-antay-antay lang that tayo makakabalik na sa church.
Correct. And let's always find meaning sa mga nangyayari ngayon kasi this will definitely add to our growth.
Yes, I agree, Dr. Okay. Pagising natin bukas, tapos na, wala na, di po ba?
Correct, Doc. Of course, this too shall pass.
Yes, I agree. So with that, Dr. Joanne, I hope this will not be the first and the last.
Of course, no.
There will be more sessions like this on mental health. I'm sure marami pang gusto itanong yung mga audience natin ngayon. So, Doctor, in behalf of of our region champion, Dr. Nemencio Nicodemus, I think he's in Zoom right now. Dr. Nemi? Baka may kausap po.
Hi, Doc.
And of course, our chair, Dr. Agnes Torios Cruz. Okay,
thank you po, Dr. Joanne.
Thank you, Doc.
We enjoyed your talk as usual.
Thank you talaga, Doc. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you very much, Dr. Joanne. And of course, to the society for allowing us to partner with you to have this Health Forum session. Your current president, Dr. Antonio Sison, and your president-elect, Dr. Bong Benaventura. Thank you again, Dr. Joanne.
Thank you.
Joanne May Perez Riferial. Thank you, and
Thank you, Doc. And
bow,
God bless
bow,
you all,
bravo,
Doc.
bravo.
More power to PCP, Doc. More power to everyone. Thank you very much po.
Thank you very much.
On behalf of the Philippine Psychiatric Association.
Thank you very much, Doctora. Okay, so over the course of our life, if you experience mental health problems, your thinking, your mood and behavior could be affected. Many factors contribute to mental health problems. It could either be biological, life experiences, or even family history. So you always remember that mental health problems are common, but help is always available. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone. So this is your moderator for the day. I'm Dr. Jude P. Gia, a member of the Committee on Advocacy of the Philippine College of Physicians. Thank you very much, and have a safe day and a great day ahead.